Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're diving into one of Europe's most magical cities, Prague, Czech Republic. I'm telling you, this place is straight out of a fairy tale. Cobblestone streets, Gothic towers, amazing food, and yes, lots of beer. So if you're planning to visit or just dreaming about it, here's your ultimate Prague guide. Where to go, what to eat, and what to drink. Let's go. First stop. You can't go to Prague and not hit Old Town Square. It's like the main stage of the city. Super colorful buildings all around, street musicians, people everywhere. But the real star here? The Astronomical Clock, or as they call it there, the Pražský orloj. This thing is over 600 years old, one of the oldest working astronomical clocks on the planet. Every hour on the dot, these little figurines come out and do a tiny mechanical show. It's honestly kind of cute, but also so impressive, like imagine building that in the 1400s. Total must-see. Now from there, just walk a few minutes and boom, you're at Charles Bridge. In Czech, they call it Karlův most. And let me tell you, this is not just a bridge, this is like a walking museum. It's lined with statues of saints. There are painters, street performers, all happening right there over the Vltava River. My advice? Go super early in the morning if you want that quiet, misty, magical vibe, or go at sunset for the ultimate golden hour photos. Visitors believe that touching certain parts of the statue brings good luck and ensures a return to Prague. And speaking of views, you've got to check out Prague Castle. That's Pražský hrad if you want to sound fancy. Fun fact, it's actually the largest ancient castle complex in the world. Inside, you've got the massive St. Vitus Cathedral. Like, seriously, this church is gorgeous. Those stained glass windows hit different when the sunlight comes through. And don't miss Golden Lane, this little alley with colorful houses where, according to legend, alchemists used to try to make gold. It's giving Harry Potter vibes, I swear. Okay. Now, let's switch it up a bit. You want something more modern? Head over to the Dancing House. They also call it Tančící dům, but everybody knows it as Fred and Ginger, like the dancers. The building literally looks like two people dancing together, and there's a rooftop bar up there where you can sip a drink and get this killer view of the city. Super cool photo spot. But here's something I really loved, the Lennon Wall. Totally different energy. It's this big, colorful graffiti wall where people have been painting peace messages and Beatles lyrics since the 80s, inspired by John Lennon. And what's awesome is that it's always changing. New art, new words, new colors every time you go. If you're feeling artsy, this is the spot. Now listen, you didn't think I was gonna let you go without talking about the food, right? Because Prague knows how to feed you. First thing you gotta try is goulash. It's basically a beef stew, slow-cooked, super rich, with paprika, and they usually serve it with these soft bread dumplings called knedlíky. It's total comfort food, especially if it's cold outside. Order a side of Smažený Sýr, which, yes, literally translates to fried cheese. And I'm not talking about your regular mozzarella sticks here. This is like a big, chunky square of cheese. Usually Edam or hermelin, which is kinda like Czech camembert, breaded and deep-fried until golden and crispy on the outside, all melty goodness on the inside. They'll serve it up with fries and a big old dollop of tartar sauce on the side. You dip that crispy cheese right in there, take a bite, and I swear your brain just goes, yup, this is it. This is happiness. Then there's Svíčková. Okay. This one's kinda wild, but so good. It's beef sirloin with a creamy vegetable sauce, those same dumplings on the side, plus cranberry sauce and even a little whipped cream. Sounds weird, but trust me, it just works. Like sweet, salty, creamy, all in one bite, chef's kiss. Now, Prague is also basically the beer capital of the world. Like, Czechs drink more beer per person than anywhere else, and they've totally earned it because the beer here is awesome. The OG you have to try is Pilsner Urquell, the original Pilsner beer, super smooth, super crisp. Go to a local beer hall like U Fleku, where they've been brewing since the 1400s. Imagine drinking a beer in a place that's been making the same stuff for over 500 years. Wild, right? Oh, and for a little extra kick after dinner, grab a shot of Becherovka. It's this herbal liqueur, kinda cinnamon and clove vibes. Locals swear it's good for your digestion, and honestly, I'm willing to believe them after a big plate of Svíčková. All right, so listen. Everybody knows about Prague Castle, Charles Bridge, Old Town. But if you want to feel like you've unlocked a secret level of the city, you gotta check out Grébovka. Officially, it's called Havlíčkový Sady, but locals just say Grébovka, and it's this gorgeous park tucked away in the Vinohrady district. And here's the vibe. Imagine rolling green hills, vineyards right in the middle of the city. Yep, actual vineyards, fountains, little romantic pavilions, and just enough shade from the trees to make it the perfect chill-out spot. Okay, so here's one of those spots in Prague that feels like you've just stepped into a royal garden from a Netflix period drama. Waldstein Garden, or as the locals say, Waldsteinská zahrada. This place is tucked away in the Malá Strana neighborhood, super close to Prague Castle. But here's the crazy part. So many tourists totally miss it. It's like this little oasis of calm right in the middle of the city chaos. Now let me paint the picture for you. You walk in, and boom. Perfectly trimmed hedges, gorgeous fountains, elegant statues all over the place. But the best part? The white peacocks. Yes, real-life fancy white peacocks just walking around like they own the place. Total diva birds. You'll catch yourself low-key following them around trying to get that perfect photo. There's also this massive artificial grotto wall, kind of a spooky cool rock wall covered in weird shapes and animal faces. It feels a bit surreal, like, wait, am I still in Prague, or did I just teleport into an ancient myth? Now, here's the backstory. This garden was built in the 1600s as part of the palace of Albrecht von Wallenstein. The guy was a big military commander, super rich, super ambitious, and clearly into showing off. The whole garden was designed to impress like, hey, look how powerful I am, I even have peacocks. Vibes. Okay, let's be real for a second. You can't walk 5 steps in Prague without seeing those little stalls spinning this magical dessert on a stick. You smell it before you even see it. That sweet mix of sugar, cinnamon, and buttery dough floating through the air. Yep, I'm talking about Trdelník. So, what is it exactly? Trdelník is basically this rolled pastry, kind of like a chimney-shaped donut. They take the dough, wrap it around a metal rod, and then grill it over an open flame, spinning it the whole time so it cooks nice and even. Then they roll it in sugar, cinnamon, sometimes crushed nuts or cocoa powder. And here's the fun part. Some places fill it with Nutella, ice cream, whipped cream, or even fruit. And honestly, it's dangerous. You walk by one of these stands and suddenly your brain goes, yeah, okay, maybe just one. And 5 minutes later, you're standing there with ice cream dripping down your hand, living your best tourist life. If you want to go full-on extra, there's this place called Good Food Coffee and Bakery, right near Charles Bridge, where they do all the crazy versions, like Trdelník cones filled with soft-serve ice cream, Oreos on top, chocolate drizzle, total sugar bomb. Zero regrets. All right, so here's a little Prague fun fact for you. Did you know this city has an alley so narrow it actually has its own traffic light? I'm not even kidding. Welcome to Prague's Narrowest Alley, officially called Vinárna Čertovka. But most people just say, the narrow alley, because honestly, it's hard to miss. So here's the deal. This thing is only about 50 centimeters wide at some points. That's like this much. Hold your hands close together. 2 people cannot squeeze through side by side. It's basically just one skinny little path between 2 buildings that leads down toward the river and a cute little riverside restaurant. But the best part? There's an actual pedestrian traffic light at both ends of the alley, so you gotta press the button and wait your turn to go through. Otherwise, you're gonna awkwardly bump into someone halfway, and one of you is doing the crab walk back out. It feels kind of silly, but in the best way possible. Locals call it the alley with the traffic light, and it's right near Charles Bridge on the Mala Strana side. Super easy to swing by if you're already in the area doing your Prague sightseeing. Now, little fun fact, this alley wasn't originally designed as a street or passage. It was more like an emergency access route between buildings. But tourists found it, fell in love with how weird and narrow it is, and now it's totally one of those you gotta do it for the photo spots. All right, so we've talked about all the castles, bridges, beautiful streets of Prague, but there's one place I think everyone should visit when they're here. It's called the Memorial to the Victims of Communism. This one's not about pretty views or cool Instagram shots. This is where Prague gets real with its history. You'll find the memorial at the base of Petřín Hill in the Malá Strana district. And when you see it, you'll know exactly what it's about. It's this haunting line of 7 bronze statues of human figures walking down a flight of stairs. But here's the powerful part. The bodies are slowly breaking apart as they move forward. The first statue is whole, but the others are missing pieces. An arm, a leg, parts of their bodies gone. It's super symbolic, meant to show how political prisoners and victims of the communist regime were mentally and physically destroyed. Their identity, their freedom, sometimes even their lives, just stripped away. The memorial was unveiled in 2002, and at the base there's a plaque that says, "The memorial is dedicated to all victims, not only those who were jailed or executed, but also those whose lives were ruined by totalitarian despotism." And listen, it hits hard, because the communist regime in what was then Czechoslovakia, from 1948 until 1989, affected pretty much every family here. Censorship, prison camps, surveillance, forced labor, executions. This place stands as a quiet, heavy reminder of that. What I really respect about this memorial is that it doesn't shout at you. It doesn't need to. You just stand there, looking at these broken statues, and you feel it. So yeah, while Prague is full of beauty and fairy tale moments, it also holds these deep scars from the past. And I think visiting the Memorial to the Victims of Communism is a way of honoring that history, understanding what the people here went through, and kind of paying your respects. And here's where Café Slavia gets extra cool. It's not just about the view or the coffee. This place has serious literary street cred. Like, some of the biggest names in Czech culture used to sit right here at these tables, ordering their coffee, chain smoking, debating life, art, politics. You know, the whole tortured artist vibe. One of the most famous? Franz Kafka. Yep, that Kafka. The guy who gave us The Metamorphosis, The Trial, all those dark existential masterpieces. Picture young Kafka sitting here by the window, probably scribbling in his notebook, overthinking life as usual. But it wasn't just Kafka. Rainer Maria Rilke also hung out here, one of the greatest poets of the early 20th century. Total legend. And then you've got Václav Havel, playwright, dissident, and later the first president of the Czech Republic after communism fell. Before all the politics, he was just one of the guys sitting here at Slavia, writing plays, talking revolution with his friends. There's also Karel Čapek, another Czech literary giant, the guy who actually invented the word robot. True story. He was a regular here too. Okay, so here's a fun one. If you want to get the absolute best view of Prague, like full-on postcard, rooftops, river castle, the whole thing, you gotta hike up to Petřín Tower. Or if you're feeling lazy, no judgment, just take the funicular little cable car that takes you right up the hill. Either way, totally worth it. Now, when you first see Petřín Tower, you're probably gonna be like, is that the Eiffel Tower? And yeah, you're not wrong, because it was actually inspired by the Eiffel Tower in Paris. But here's the catch. It's only 63 meters tall, way smaller than the real Eiffel. But, and this is the cool part because it's built on top of Petřín Hill, which is already pretty high, the view from the top feels just as epic. They built it back in 1891 for the Jubilee exhibition, kind of like a World's Fair thing, and the idea was, hey, let's give Prague its own fancy tower. And honestly, they nailed it. So when you climb up, yes, there are 299 steps if you're doing the stairs, get those leg gains. You get this 360-degree view of the entire city. You can see the Vltava River, Charles Bridge, Prague Castle, all those red rooftops. On a clear day, they say you can even see as far as Germany. What I love is that the whole area around the tower is super peaceful. You've got Petřín Gardens, lots of green space, little walking paths, benches where you can chill and catch your breath after the climb. There's even a mirror maze up there. Fun little detour if you're into that kind of trippy carnival stuff. And bonus tip, sunset from Petřín Tower, unreal. Like proper, I'm gonna make this my phone wallpaper level views. So yeah, if you're in Prague and you want to feel like you've unlocked a secret panoramic mode on real life, hit up Petřín Tower. Small tower, big views, zero regrets. All right, so Prague is full of old statues, Gothic churches, castles. But then, out of nowhere, you turn a corner and boom, there's this giant rotating metal head of Franz Kafka, just spinning away like something out of a sci-fi movie. It's called Head of Franz Kafka, and it was made by one of Prague's most famous and most rebellious artists, David Czerny. And if you know anything about Czerny, you know the guy does not do boring art. So what is this thing? It's basically a giant kinetic sculpture, over 11 meters tall, made up of 42 rotating stainless steel layers. And these layers move independently, twisting and shifting until they line up perfectly into Kafka's face. And then they break apart again. It's like watching Kafka himself glitching in and out of reality. Super fitting, right? I mean, if anyone's gonna have a robot-looking spinning head statue, it's Kafka. And here's the genius part. It's not just random spinning. The movement is programmed, so the layers keep changing direction, breaking the face apart, and then reassembling it over and over again. Total metaphor for Kafka's whole vibe: identity, isolation, the struggle to stay whole in a crazy, bureaucratic world. Super deep, super cool. You can find it right outside the Quadrio shopping center, just a few minutes walk from Wenceslas Square. And trust me, if you're not expecting it, you're gonna be like, wait, what the heck is that? You hear this mechanical whirring sound, and then this massive head starts turning right in front of you. What I love about it is how it blends modern art with Prague's history. Like, here's this famous literary icon, Kafka, born and raised in Prague, probably one of the city's most famous sons. And instead of a boring old statue, they gave him this crazy kinetic tribute. I feel like Kafka would totally approve of how weird it is. All right, so here's something a little unexpected about Prague. Most people come here for the castles, the bridges, the Gothic drama of the city, right? But tucked away just a few steps from the madness of Old Town Square, there's this super cool spot that's not on every tourist's checklist, the Municipal Library of Prague. Now, before you roll your eyes like, ugh, a library? Hold up. Because this place is way more than shelves of dusty books. Right when you walk into the entrance, you'll find one of the city's most famous modern art pieces, this massive, mind-bending, infinite book tower called Idiom by artist Mate Kren. It's literally a column made out of thousands of books, stacked in a perfect circle, hollow inside and lined with mirrors at the top and bottom. When you peek into the middle, it feels like the books just spiral up and down forever. Totally trippy, totally awesome, and yeah, totally perfect for that artsy Instagram shot. Okay, real talk. If you're standing in Wenceslas Square and you see that huge, fancy-looking building at the top of the hill, yeah, that's not just a pretty backdrop for your selfies. That's the National Museum, and it's one of the biggest, oldest museums in the country. This place has been around since 1818, and walking through those big grand doors, you can totally feel the history. Inside, total treasure chest. They've got everything from prehistoric fossils and dinosaur skeletons to stuffed animals, gemstones, medieval artifacts, even historical documents from the Czech independence movements. But what really hits you when you walk in is the building itself. The main hall is stunning. Think huge marble staircases, golden decorations, giant dome overhead. Total drama, I feel like I'm in a royal palace vibes. Even if you're not a big museum person, just standing in that space makes you go, okay, yeah, this is cool. And here's a cool little side note. The museum sits right at the top of Wenceslas Square, which has been the stage for some of the biggest moments in Czech history, including the Velvet Revolution back in 1989, when massive protests helped bring down the communist regime. So this spot isn't just about dinosaurs and old coins. It's part of the city's political story, too. Oh, and they recently did a massive renovation, so everything feels fresh, but still keeps that classic historical feel. Super interactive exhibitions, a lot of multimedia stuff. So it's not just read the little plaque and move on kind of museum. You can actually get into it. All right, so after running around the city, crossing Charles Bridge with the crowds, and taking a million photos, sometimes you just need a little breather, right? A spot where you can just sit down, relax, and vibe. Let me show you the perfect place for that. Kampa Park. Now, Kampa Park isn't some random green space. It's actually this gorgeous little island right next to Malá Strana, basically sitting right under Charles Bridge. But the cool thing? Even though it's right near one of the busiest tourist spots, Kampa somehow stays super peaceful. Total hidden oasis energy. The vibe here is green lawns, quiet riverside paths, sculptures scattered around, and that perfect view of the Vltava River. You can chill out on a bench, watch the swans floating by, or just sit under the trees and let your feet recover from all the walking. But Kampa isn't just about the park. There's also a bit of art sprinkled in. One of the most famous things you'll spot here? Those weird crawling baby statues by David Cherney. Yep, the same artist who made the rotating Kafka head. They're kinda creepy, but also super fun and iconic at this point. Oh, and while you're there, you can swing by the Kampa Museum. It's a modern art museum right on the island, with exhibitions from both Czech and international artists. Even if you're not a big art person, the location itself is beautiful, right by the water. And if you're down for a little snack or drink, there are a couple of cozy riverside cafes where you can grab a coffee or a beer and just soak up the view. Swans, historic bridges, boats going by. Honestly, it feels like a scene out of a painting. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more social media tips and strategies, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a comment below. I've got lots more coming your way, so stay tuned and let's grow together.